And to officially welcome you this morning is the President of the University of North Alabama, Dr. Ken Kitts.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the University of North Alabama and to this 2022 induction ceremony for our Athletic Hall of Fame. Today culminates a process that started back in May when these 6 inductees were announced, and now here we are on a magnificent fall day on this historic and beautiful campus, getting ready to make all of this official. And after this ceremony, we still have a parade, a lunch, and a ball game yet to go. So what a great day. To our inductees, Riley, Freddie, Will, Jana, Holly, and Jamie, congratulations. Yes. I know some of these individuals a bit better than others, but I have really enjoyed getting to know more about each of them through this process, and my family and I look forward to celebrating this day with you. This is, of course, an important time in the life of our university with the transition to Division I behind us at last. And Dr. Josh Looney and his team are already writing the next chapter in the storied history of Lion athletics. But even as we look forward to that very exciting future, we understand that the foundations of today's success were laid many years ago. And the individual accomplishments sharing the stage with me today loom very large in that equation. So inductees, thank you for what you did here during your playing careers. Thank you for your love and loyalty to your alma mater. And thank you for the lives you lead now. You brought luster to the UNA degrees then, and you continue to do so today. And that deserves a hearty Roar Lions. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Kitts. Would also like to introduce the Athletic Director of the University of North Alabama, Dr. Josh Looney. Josh had just gotten here last year leading up to homecoming, so he's had a full year of the UNA experience. He's already leading a lot of great changes that are happening here, but we want to hear from him this morning. Dr. Looney.
Thank you, Jeff. We know great coaches and athletes, they can adapt. And Jeff was able to this morning with some AC issues. He's got the fan, and he just does a tremendous job. Jeff works behind the scenes so much, but has such a love for this event. Our past inductees are close to be current inductees, future inductees right now. So Jeff, why don't you step out here? Let's give him a round of applause for everything he does for this. I know he hates the attention, but he definitely deserves it. This is one of my favorite days because in athletics, whether you're a coach, whether you're an athlete, everything's about what's next and growth. And the university, fastest growing university in the state, athletic department, new era, Division I, next game, next play, everything is forward looking and growth. But today it's about remembering the past, celebrating the past, and honoring the foundation that's what's enabled the growth at UNA. And so we have current athletes here in attendance. We'll have current athletes that have heard your stories this week that will hear it more today. And it's a really special moment. So excited to congratulate you on behalf of our coaches and our athletes. What's really neat about this year's class, and every class has a unique quality, and obviously every class is so well qualified to go into the Hall of Fame. But this one, for the first time that I'm aware of, and I believe Jeff said, all were able to find out in person that they were inducted to the Hall of Fame because all 5 up here are local. And so Jeff and Megan Dye of our staff were able to go and make special presentations to each. So Riley, it was at a baseball game for you. You thought you were throwing out the first pitch, right? You weren't. You found out you were getting into the Hall of Fame. Freddie, you're coming to the locker room. You get called by Coach Poole and the staff. What do they want to talk to me about, right? And there you are in front of your picture in the locker room, and you find out you're going into the Hall of Fame. Jana, she's it's at her school in front of her athletes. I believe it was in the weight room, right? You find out, and so high school athletes here get to find out a little bit about you as a college athlete. Holly is on our staff, and she's coming into a room, and on Zoom is her family from England, and they're here today. And you're kind of, what am I walking into? And it was like a surprise birthday party for you. And Jamie, it was at your dentist office is where, so your employees get to see it. So just a really unique piece, and I know that was really special to each of you and to Jeff as well. And so with that, let's get on with the show, but want to offer one more congratulations on behalf of our athletic department. We're excited to celebrate you today, your past, present, and future with the Lions. Roar Lions.
Thank you, Josh. The UNA Athletic Hall of Fame was created in 1990, and today we'll be inducting our 33rd class of former Lions. The Hall of Fame was created to honor individuals who've distinguished themselves either as a player or coach for the Lions or in support of the UNA athletic program, and who have contributed to the success and high standard of the university. Candidates for the Hall of Fame are nominated and then placed on a ballot that goes to a 15-member Athletic Hall of Fame selection committee. 6 inductees are then selected with a plaque placed in their honor on permanent display in Flowers Hall. This year's plaques, if you have a chance to go by Flowers Hall, or if your family wants to go by, they're already on display. Facing the front of the building, it's on the left hallway. So if you have a chance, go by, and like I said, their plaques are already up to look at. Today we're here to honor the Hall of Fame inductees for 2022, which will bring the total number of inductees to 155. And just to give you some perspective, that's just 155 student athletes over a period of 90 years of college athletics and more than 5,000 student athletes that have played here at the University of North Alabama. So that's right around 3% actually make the Hall of Fame, so congratulations again on that. At this time, as I call your name, we'd like to recognize all of our current Hall of Famers who are with us today. And if you would just stand up and remain standing, no particular order. I was just trying to make a note as everyone came in. But Don McBrayer, class of 2009. Steve Carter, class of 2010. Colonel Don Faint, class of 1998. Brenda Mays, class of 2001. Gary Elliott, class of 2003. Benny Jennings, class of 2009. Ham Moore, class of 2014. Gerald Lavender, class of 1995. William Bowens, class of 2002. Bruce Jones, class of 1996. Albert Owens, class of 2001. Terrence Witherspoon, class of 2000. Andy Jones, class of 2008. And Johnny Long, class of 1999. Is there anybody else here that I missed? Ladies and gentlemen, let's have our hand for our members of our UNA Athletic Hall of Fame. A Florence native, our first inductee into the UNA Athletic Hall of Fame, class of 2022, is former Lion baseball player Riley Brewer. A catcher on UNA baseball teams from 1978 to 1981, Brewer played for 3 different head coaches in his 4 years with the Lions, in Mike Knight, Gary Elliott, and Mike Galloway. It was also at a time where UNA's baseball facilities weren't the best. For instance, there was no outfield fence. Despite all that, the Lions did win 75 games during his 4-year career at UNA. He earned his bachelor's degree from UNA and then enlisted in the Air Force in the communications field. When his enlistment was up, he returned to UNA and enrolled in the ROTC program while pursuing a master's degree. He completed work on an accounting degree and then went into officers training before being commissioned in 1990 through the UNA ROTC program. He served 13 years with the Alabama National Guard's 115th Signal Battalion as a traditional guardsman. Then in 2003, the 115th Signal Battalion was deployed to Iraq, and he was promoted to major as a rear detachment commander. In 2005, he went full-time in the Army and started learning network administration and network architecture. During his time in Afghanistan, he helped monitor all small units coming in and out of the country to ensure they had communication packages that they needed for their missions. In 2017, Hurricane Maria, a Category 5 hurricane, destroyed a large portion of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Riley led a team of 26 teams and additional staff members who helped ensure there was communications between all entities in the support process. Immediately after the hurricane hit, the air traffic controllers tied into their systems and began to coordinate relief efforts. He served in Puerto Rico for 5 months from June to October to help keep the relief efforts moving. In all, he had 36 years in career military service, which included 23 years of active federal service. His list of military awards include the Signal Corps Bronze Order of Mercury, the Bronze Star, numerous others, 5 Meritorious Service Medals, Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, and so on. In 2018, he was honored at the Pentagon when he was awarded a worldwide joint IT award, the AFCEA IT Joint Officer of the Year. It's one of the highest honors a soldier can receive and is a salute to warfighters for their service and dedication and recognizes the contributions and sacrifices they made in defending our country. AFCEA DC recognizes service members that have made a significant contribution to the warfighter through information technology. Special consideration is given for decisive bravery. He was also the recipient of UNA's 2020 Military Service Award presented by the National Alumni Association. Please welcome for induction into the UNA Athletic Hall of Fame, Colonel Riley Brewer.
Pretty emotional. Thank you, Jeff. I tell you, that was quite an introductory, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I never expected to be on the stage with everybody. Not in a million years. I just never would have thought it. It's an honor to be inducted into the UNA Athletic Hall of Fame, Class of 22, and especially with this group that we have here. And so, you know, it's just fantastic. I'm very honored to go in with the rest of you. I do want to thank the nomination committee and the selection committee for considering me. Like I said, I never would have thought it. And then to the UNA Athletic Department, the Sports Information Office, Jeff and his crew, the College of Arts and Science, UNA ROTC, thank you for helping me to build the foundation for my life's journey. I do appreciate that. Thank you to my wife, Lisa, who's inspired me and guided me throughout, you know, the hard times and the good times. She's been with me for 45 years, 39 years we've been married. So, you know, it started off here at UNA, and, you know, we were sophomores, and look, here we are. You know, and Tasha Page, my biggest fan. You know, she's my biggest fan in everything I do. I love both of you, you know, the grandkids and everybody, so thank you. You know, for me, individual accomplishments are really team accomplishments. It was an honor to play baseball here at UNA. I had so many teammates from 1978 to 1981. You know, they're just as much a part of this as it is for me. You know, baseball at UNA gave me the attributes for leadership and teamwork. You know, that helped me in my military career and my life's journey. And, you know, it was a great time of my life, and it was a great learning for me as we get older. You know, I grew up in North Florence on Shade Avenue. You know, I played every sports imaginable. I played with my brother, my sister, played with my cousins, and numerous friends. You know, going to elementary school here at Harlan Elementary, and I went to junior high at Appleby. Went half a year at Bradshaw. I made and maintained friends that became lifelong friends, and they're still friends today. You know, in 1973, when I was 13, my family moved to Southern Pines, North Carolina. And in 1977, I graduated from Pinecrest High School, where I met a host of lifelong friends and a baseball coach named John Williams that touched my life. And that year I was given an opportunity to come back here to UNA, play baseball here, and coming back to Florence and UNA was like coming home. You know, I loved Florence. My dad and all, my mom and everybody would carry me to the games as a kid, you know, and it was just a great surrounding for me. The friends here are just fantastic, and the people you meet here are just You know, there's no place like Florence. I've been all over the world. I can tell you Florence, Alabama is the best community you can live in. You know, as Jeff said, I played under 3 different coaches. I played under Mike Knight, Gary Elliott, Mike Galloway. And UNA baseball has been around for 92 years. There's been 12 coaches. And I've played for 20% of those coaches since 1930. And then, you know, if you want to think about it, the last 4 out of 6 coaches were named Mike. You know, and I'm glad to know that we've hired somebody named Jad that's, you know, kind of takes that away. You know, so, you know, I know Jad's not here. He's working. You know, they have a practice game. He's getting ready for the season. So, but I do want to welcome Jad to UNA and Florence, his family also to Florence. So, you know, welcome there. A little bit, you know, a little bit about our schedule, and Coach Elliott knows this. He came in and took it out, you know, in 1979 is when he was here. But each year we played the best Division II the 3 best nationally ranked teams in Division II. It's Troy State, Jacksonville State, and Delta State. You know, we played 6 or 7 Division I schools, and out of those, you know, 2 or 3 each year was nationally ranked. You know, we played teams like Western Kentucky, UAB, University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, you know, Tennessee Tech, played Cleveland State. They would come down every year. And then, of course, we played Alabama. And, you know, the thing about that was that when you think about that part, all those Division I schools were bigger than us, but yet we always gave them a good game, and we always beat them. And the good thing about me during my career is that we never lost a home game to Alabama. So if you look in the diorama, you'll see where we did a 5-5 tie. So, you know, I remember them coming up, and I remember the bus parking over there in front of Rice Hall. And Coach Elliott, I believe you were our coach that year. And so they come onto the field, you know, and then they have a little bit of discussion, and then the next thing I know, you know, they're getting back on the bus and they're heading back. So I don't know what kind of conversation Coach Elliott had with Hayden Riley, who was the coach. But something went on, but then we tied them. Isn't that amazing? No pitch thrown, no bat swung. So we managed to tie there, so that's pretty good. And I can lay claim Alabama never beat my teams at home. So we played 3 other powerhouses in the NAIA, which was Montevallo, David Lipscomb, which is now Lipscomb, and then Birmingham Southern. And so as you can imagine, every year that we played pretty tough schedule. I mean, we played 46, 49 games a year, but it's still, the teams and quality of teams that we played was something to admire. You know, the other thing about that is that you know, I was able to play against teams that were coached by Major League Baseball players. A guy named like Harry the Hat Walker, who coached UAB, he was with the St. Louis Cardinals. Played against Chase Riddle, who was at Troy State, and he was with the St. Louis Cardinals. And then Boo Ferris from Delta State, you know, he played with the Boston Red Sox. And so whenever I was recruited and I got to see the schedule that was coming in, and I knew the coach, I saw who was being coached by, I thought, man, I had their baseball card when I was a kid. So that's pretty cool, you know. So that was you know, it was made an exciting time for us. And then, you know, Jeff's already touched about the field, and, you know, when I was talking to him about it, he said, hey, you can say something about the field, you know. And so I could tell you that my freshman and sophomore year, which we didn't have a field of dreams. You know, we didn't have lights. We didn't have a fence, you know, and we didn't have much of a center field either. You know, if you look at it today, you know, there's this big old concrete wall out there. But center field started at about 270 and went straight up the hill to the church back there. And so, you know, every now and then a ball would get hit up there on that field, and then, you know, our center fielder or, you know, umpire would have to raise his hand, and it'd become a ground rule double. So, you know, that came into play there. And I see Coach Elliott smiling because he knows. And so, you know, that's what we contended with. And not only did we have contention with that, but, you know, there was always this thing about whether we were going to get to play a game out there, because you either had intramurals going on in right field or you had the football team practicing out there. Coach Long, he's laughing too because he knows what I'm talking about. So it was a big contention, and I'm sure Coach Elliott and Mike Knight and all those coaches probably had something to do with that athletic director trying to figure out what we're going to do. But we did wind up playing a lot of our home games, like at Bradshaw Coffee, Sheffield, and then we played at Bragwell Road, or Bragwell Field back on the backside of Sheffield. So that's where we would do the alternating thing if the athletic director said, no, you can't play at home. So that's kind of what happened. So, you know, that's how it was like, what it was like for me, you know, being here at UNA. It was always a challenge, you know, loved it here. Loved the people, loved the university. I loved my professors. I had 3 professors in the College of Arts and Sciences that challenged me. And really, really, what they challenged me with, they never gave me anything. They always challenged me. And what they did for me, you know, I'll tell you who, you know, was Dr. Foster, Dr. Rosenbaum, and then Paul Jones, who was in that department. And those guys really challenged me academically and would give me nothing, but I wanted to play baseball, and I did everything that I could to get through there. But what they did for me helped me as I go into it. So finally, you know, that's kind of a summary. I could talk all day about baseball at UNA, but I'm only limited to time. Jeff really got on to me a little bit, and he's thrown a couple of spitballs at me already. But finally, I would like to say something about my 36 years of military service. So I served and worked with every major command in the Army. And I attended or hosted meetings with decision makers at the highest level in the Army. And these meetings started with an introduction of who you are, where you're from, and what college did you attend. I heard introductions from people in these meetings, and I'm talking about the Pentagon, and I'm talking about downtown D.C. And I heard people that had attended schools like Princeton, Harvard, Stanford, West Point, Air Force Academy, Texas A&M, Citadel, and other big-name schools. And here I am. There's 25 of us in this room. Most of them are from these big-name schools. And here I am. I'm always proudly said that I attended the University of North Alabama, Roar Lions.
Thank you, Riley. Our second inductee into the UNA Athletic Hall of Fame for 2022 is former Lion basketball standout Freddie Copeland. A native of Boonville, Mississippi, Copeland played basketball at UNA in 1975-76 and 1976-77 on teams that had a combined 43-13 record. I'm told he was viewed as a father figure by many on the team, or at least as an older brother. As he had enlisted in the Air Force after high school, served a 4-year tour of duty from 1969 to 1973, including 2 years of service in Vietnam. He served as a communications specialist, encrypting and decrypting top-secret communications. He achieved the rank of sergeant and received the Air Force Commendation Medal in 1971. And then he played 2 years of basketball at Northeast Mississippi Community College before enrolling at UNA. In his first season in Florence, the Lions went 19-6 for the most wins in a season in school history. He averaged 12.4 points and 7.4 rebounds. The next season, 1976-77, Copeland was selected All-Gulf South Conference as UNA went 24-7 and advanced to the NCAA tournament for the first time in school history. UNA hosted its first NCAA regional in Flowers Hall, defeating Southern Illinois and Troy to take the region title. Next, the Lions hosted an epic NCAA quarterfinal game against Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. The overflowing crowd of Lion fans saw UNA defeat Cal Poly 67-64 in overtime to advance to the Final Four. The Lions would finish third in the nation with a win over Sacred Heart in the consolation game. Copeland led the team in rebounds, steals, assists, and field goal percentage, while averaging 12.4 points per game. He also set a Gulf South Conference field goal percentage record at 62.3% for the season. He was named to the Birmingham Post-Herald All-Alabama Small College Basketball Team and was UNA's team MVP. He graduated from UNA in 1977, then went on to earn a master's degree from UNA in administration. He then began a lifelong career in administration in the aluminum industry. Among his various positions was Vice President of Operations at Wabash Alloys in Indiana, Vice President of Casting Operations at Alabama Casting Reclamation, and Vice President of Corporate Human Resources and Labor Relations at Wise Alloys in Muscle Shoals. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome for induction into the UNA Athletic Hall of Fame, Freddie Copeland.
First of all, I think it's still morning, not good morning, if it's afternoon, good afternoon, but I think it's still morning. To Sports Information Director Jeff Hodges, I give him a lot of accolades because just communicating to us and very early on, and the surprise of obtaining this prestigious award, they did a real good job of that. And Jeff really do a good job of communicating. Like, you got to plan an event like this, and you got to get it all communicated out. And he started real early, and I was so excited to check my emails every day because I said, I hope I got something from Jeff. I hope I got something from Jeff, because it was like ABC 1, 2, 3, well planned and well organized. So I appreciate that from Jeff. And also to the committee that's involved in the selection process. Hey, there are so many people that probably deserving of this type of award. But you have to make a decision on who gets it, who gets in, and who don't get in. So accolades goes out to those individuals on the committee that do the selection, because it's a tough job. I know in the career that I've been in the business industry that you have to make a selection on who get promoted and who don't to a certain position. And those are tough positions, but I'm sure that Jeff makes enough money to make those type of decisions, and he does it well. Also to the UNA family. That includes all the instructors and teachers and the people that are here today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And for the people that are just visiting here, I say thank you, thank you, thank you for coming out. I know, taking a brief journey back into history, when I arrived at UNA in 1975 from Northeast, the first year, Jeff alluded to it, that our team 19 wins and 6 victories. And the people at the university, they said, wow, that's great, because it was an all-time record for most wins. But we didn't go anywhere. The last game of the season, Troy State beat us on the last second shot, and I can still see that shot today. They beat us by 1 point, and that kept us out of the tournament. Although we had the 19 victories, which is a big deal, but we stayed home and we didn't advance in the tournament. But the second year, we go 24-7. And I took that personally, getting beat 19-6 by Troy State. So when we played Troy again to see who goes in to the tournament, I made sure that we advanced, you know. But there was a lot of help along the way. But the key to that was that the 24-7, again, that's another all-time record. And I was part of that, but had a lot of teammates that was involved in that sort of thing. And we go on to the Final Fours. And that's a big deal for UNA at that time. And the stands, and for all the people that were coming to the games, I mean, just sellouts. It was just exciting times then. Very, very exciting time. And I'm highly appreciative of that. To this day, I see people, believe it or not, at my age, so there are some people still older than I am, that say, hey, I remember you doing this, and I don't remember that. I remember playing the game, but they know every move, every shot, or something fantastic you did in a certain game, and I have to feel a little bit, say, yeah, I remember that. I promise you I didn't. But anyway, but I'm thankful of that. I know for the people of faith, there's a book in the chapter of Ecclesiastes, and if you go over to the 3rd chapter, first through about the 13 verses, it talks about changes and a timing of the seasons, and it's a timing for everything. And there's some passages in there, something similar to time to be born, time to die, and I'm very familiar with that, with what's happened in our life very recently. But there's a passage in there about it's a time to plant, and it's a time to pluck up that which is planted. I revert to that quite often because as a senior, when we did the 24-7 record, Coach brought in a lot of freshmen. And he asked me prior to bringing in those freshmen, what type of players do we need to bring in my opinion? Because I was a little bit older than the rest of the guys, about 4 years. And I said, hey, you need more height, we need more quickness, and we need guys got good attitudes. And I said, you bring that in, I think you can build a good foundation. I think we'll be better this upcoming season. Well, he took some of the advice, and he brought in some good players and some good people. The thing I like about it, they were good people, and you could coach them real well. So that seed was planted. The 19-6, it was planted. Then the 24-7, it's still making a good plant. But the culture was ingrained about winning. And after I graduated, 2 years later, some of those same players that came in, freshmen, during my senior year, they plucked the plant and they reaped the rewards because they won the national championship. And, that's what made me so excited about the culture UNA was established about winning. And then that culture transcended on into the future about winning. And today, I want to put a couple of accolades out to, I see out there in the audience that there were 2 players that played in my regime, during my regime, and they were part of the championship team. Unfortunately, I like to think that I planted the seed, and they reaped all the rewards from the plant. But if you would, Gerald Lavender and Timmy Morgan, would you stand? Those are, and in particular, Gerald was I could always tell that he was going to be good after I saw him the freshman year because he was taller than I was, but he had a knack for rebounding, and he had a tenacity to play the game. And he was a good, at that time he was a good kid. He's a good man, but he was a good kid, And you could tell him, I could tell him to do something, do anything I tell him to do. But the key to it was he practiced real hard and he played real hard. And I said, I knew that he was a good player and I knew he was going to become a great player. And thank you. And on Timmy's side, when he came in, he was another good guy, smart guy. But what I liked about Tim was that most of the time in the game that we would always be ahead. So therefore, the team would have to foul some of us to go to the free throw line to try to catch up and hope we would miss. And coach would always put Tim in no pressure situation to be to handle the ball and to take the fouls. And every time I'll be out there on the floor, and every time I go to the free throw line, I could relax. Because I know Timmy Morgan, if it 1-and-1, 2 shots or 1 shot, the ball was going through the hoop. That's about the only time I rested in the game is when Tim came to the free throw line because it was a good basket. So those were the ingredients to make the sweet pie, the reward. And those guys, they brought the first national championship in basketball to UNA, and I'm so proud of you guys, And as I move forward, also in my life, thank you. Also in my life, today here I have my daughter, Katara, the baby in the family, and a grown woman baby. And I have the youngest son, Russell. He's out there, Russell, and always have supported me. And they always looked at the scrapbook. And back then, our shorts were a little bit different from the way they wear them today. They were a little bit, we wore them the right way. These days they baggy and all, I don't get that, But they make fun about the way our game shorts were and that sort of thing. But they do look at the facts, and they don't lie. That's the information from the newspaper articles and that sort of thing. They're always going through the scrapbook and they laugh about that sort of thing. But they've always been my rock. Unfortunately, our oldest son, Freddie, who's not here physically, but I know that he's here spiritually and looking down upon us. And prior to his death in June, he always talked about this Hall of Fame thing. It was a big deal to him, and I dedicate this award to him. Freddie's not here, but his son, Mason. How about standing up, Mason? That's my grandson, Mason. And as Freddie just turned 8 years old, Coach, you might want to take his name, and we're going to be working with him. All right, then. And also, some other people have been friends to me ever since I came to UNA. I met their father out there at Reynolds Metal Company, and he taught me the knack of how to make metal both mechanically, electrical. I mean, the mechanics of doing all that. I was trying to read it from a book, which would take a long time. He said, put the book down, son, and come go with me, and let me show you how it's done. He was a 30-year employee. He understood it all. And that gave me a career path into the future that I couldn't have made it without him. And that's the Webster's family. Will they stand? I mean, that's a long time ago. But you got Diane, and you got Harold, and Harold's wife, we always call her a little bit. You probably can see that. And I say that with respect a little bit, But they always lifetime friends. I've eaten many meals at the Webster's family table, and I really appreciated that. I really appreciated that. And going a little bit further, the other family that I've known a few years, not too long ago, but I met them at a park one day with Mason running around there playing and that sort of thing, trying to keep up with them. It's the Christmases, and will the Christmases stand? They're here to show our support. You got Attorney John Christmas, his wife Sarah, the two sons, and you got the mother there. There's a true friend, and I appreciate all of you for coming out. Again, thank you for your support. And I do see some other people out here, Coach Pujols and Coach Willett. I kind of hang around over there in the basketball team sometime, and every now and then they kind of ask me for a little advice, and I'm not one for holding back on them, but sometimes they take it, sometimes they don't. But they've always been true supporters, and I always try to support them too. They do a good job, a lot of hard work, and I think that culture, that's what I'm always interested in, is the culture. How do you establish that culture that it's got to transcend on into the next season and the next season into the next generation? It's a tough job, but I think you guys are on the right track, and I thank you for the hard work and what I see in you. And also, I see back there Coach Elliott and Johnny Long, he came up to me a few minutes ago. He said, you remember me? And I said, Johnny, And I remember coming to UNA. He would tape us up and keep us going and keep us patched up to play the game. And I could always see him on the football, down in front of the football bench. He'd be walking from one end. I thought he was the coach when I first got here. He'd just be walking and talking and fussing and that sort of thing. But Coach Long has always been there. I know when I was coming through the organization, he was always one that had a lot of motivation, a lot of enthusiasm, and a lot of desire. And he always tried to get the best out of him. He'll tell you whether you're doing good or bad. He never minced words. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And then I see some of the people here in the North Alabama Sports Hall of Fame that's here today. Tremendous supporters. They've always been nice to me. And I see them out there, and I thank you for coming. And for all the other individuals, like I say, some people you're going to call their names, some people you're going to leave out. I do see Mr. McBrewer here. I remember him when I first came to UNA. I'm surprised to see him here today. But those names are familiar, but the faces are familiar. Again, I'm just truly thankful just to get this, to get an honor like this, and then to be a recipient of that award. It's a big deal because when I walk down the hallowed halls of UNA, and I look on the wall, and I've seen that many years, and I see all these pictures that the people don't even know, but you can read about them. I said, they left some sweat, or they left a contribution. They did something just a little bit better than someone else that made a tremendous contribution to the university. And I just call that hallowed ground. I always like walking down there, looking up on the wall and seeing those pictures. Now I can walk, and I might notice one guy in particular now, But truthfully, I hope somebody come along behind me will feel the same way that, hey, that you make a contribution. You make a contribution to the university by doing something just a little bit better than somebody else, and hopefully that will leave a positive attitude for some little kid like Mason or some little other kid that they'll come along and want a positive contribution. That's what to me was all about, is how do you leave something that somebody else can see, they get attracted to it, and it's a good thing, and it kind of embellish upon them to also do the same sort of thing in their life, because it can be a change of life situation. So That's what I look at most of all in my time at UNA, is I always like to think that I left a little something here, and somebody else took a little piece of that, and it was a little seed or something, but it matured into a great plant, and from that plant, they reap great rewards. So again, thank you for coming out, and again, I'm appreciative of the award. Roar Lions.
Our next inductee into the UNA Athletic Hall of Fame is former UNA All-American quarterback and Harlan Hill Trophy winner Will Hall, who's unable to be with us today. A native of Amory, Mississippi, Hall came to UNA in 2002 and was a starting quarterback for the Lions for 2 seasons. In 2003, he led UNA to a 13-1 record that included a Gulf South Conference championship and a semifinal appearance in the NCAA playoffs. He was a consensus All-American and was named National Division II Player of the Year after leading the nation in passing efficiency and throwing for 3,531 yards and 30 touchdowns, all school records. He set 14 school records in all. After a brief professional career with the Tupelo Fire Ants of the Arena Football, he began a successful collegiate coaching career that includes stops at Presbyterian, Henderson State, Southwest Baptist, Arkansas Monticello, West Alabama, West Georgia, Louisiana, Memphis, Tulane, and currently Southern Mississippi. And today as the current head coach, head coach of the University of Southern Mississippi. He's coaching his team at Tulane this evening. But let's have a hand for UNA Athletic Hall of Famer Will Hall. Our next inductee is former UNA women's basketball player and coach Jana Killen. A native of Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, Killen was the point guard on Lion teams from 1984 to 1986 and helped lead UNA to a Gulf South Conference championship and to the NCAA tournament in 1985. She earned all GSC tournament honors on that 1985 championship team and closed her 2-year career at UNA with 452 points, 114 rebounds, 95 steals, and 178 assists. She also had a 75.6 career free throw percentage. She received a bachelor's degree in math, health education, and physical education, and added a master's degree in physical education from UNA as well. After 2 years as a graduate assistant coach at UNA, she accepted her first teaching and coaching position in 1989 at Deschler High School in Tuscumbia. She's still there today, 33 years later. While teaching at Deschler, she has served as the head coach in volleyball, softball, and girls basketball, and she's also coached tennis. This past season, she led Deschler girls basketball team to a 34-1 record and a state championship. It was her 7th state title as head coach of the women's basketball program. Her varsity basketball coaching record is 842 wins, 213 losses, with 6 state runner-up finishes to go with the 7 state titles. Her teams have won 13 regional championships and 26 area championships, and have also had only 1 losing season in 33 years. What about the volleyball team, you may ask? Their record is just 918 wins, with 15 area championships and 2 more state runner-up finishes. 10 of those teams won 40 or more matches. One of her tennis teams was also the state runner-up in 2015. She's received numerous honors, including being selected State Coach of the Year 3 times and Times Daily Coach of the Year 13 times. Last year, she was among 12 individuals enshrined in the Alabama High School Sports Hall of Fame class, and she was previously inducted into the Colbert County Sports Hall of Fame. Also in 2021, the court at Deschler High School Gymnasium was named in her honor. Please welcome for induction into the UNA Athletic Hall of Fame, Jana Killen.
This is so humbling. Being here with these people and the Hall of Famers before me is just, it's a shock to me. When Jeff came to Deschler High School and had that big poster in the weight room with my girls and my coaches there, it was crazy exciting, crazy humbling. I have to mention my Deschler girls. I've got Emma Kate Tittle and Chloe Siegel up there who's playing for UNA. I've got Chloe 1 more year. And I do hope to see them. I hope someday I can come watch them be inducted. And I think I will. Well, I don't know if I'll be here or not, but I think they'll be inducted. But thank you, Jeff, and thank you for the committee for selecting me. That was, like I said, such an honor. Of course, nobody gets here alone, as you know, and I have to say, God blessed me. He blessed me with two wonderful parents, Glenda and Sonny Killen, a family that always supported me. I have to say, my mom, she's my number one inspiration. She's here. She's my number one fan. When I get past the family, I'll settle down a little bit. But she believes in me even when I don't believe in myself. When I'm all nervous about getting up here and speaking to you all, she's like, you can do this, Jana. So she's my number one fan. My dad, daily, he would go to work daily, and I would wait for him to come home, and he would work with me in my sports. After every game, he would always talk to me. He would tell me what I did wrong. But the positive is at the end, he would always leave it with, well, you know more than I do. You did great. So the 30 minutes before that, where he was fussing on me, he would end with that. And I wish he could be here today. My big brother, Joey, he tells me all the time I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. And he's true. He made me tough. He made me gritty. We had so many games on Hickory Street where all the neighborhood kids would come, and I was the youngest, the only girl of all his friends on Hickory Street. So I learned really quick I had to be tough, I had to be crafty, or they would not let me play. So I do give him the credit. High school coaches, youth coaches, I was blessed with wonderful people who invested so much in me, and they deserve so much credit. And then, of course, I can't get up here without talking about Coach Byrd. The people who are here, I've seen people in this audience that know Coach Byrd. If you know Coach Byrd, I'll go back to, unbelievably, 38 years ago. He makes a home visit to Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. All right, those of you that know Coach Byrd says he comes in, instead of us entertaining him, he's entertaining us. So he's telling his jokes, he's laughing, he's carrying on, he's playing with my poodle, he's doing everything. But then, just like that, like if you know Coach Byrd, he changed. He went to very, very serious mode. He talked about Gulf South conferences, winning them. He talked about championship rings. He asked me, he was like, are you ready to work harder than you've ever worked before in your life? Are you ready to be pushed mentally and physically further than you've ever been pushed in your life? When he started talking about that, and he was like, do you want to be a part of a program like that? I knew that UNA was the place for me. It was Coach Wayne Byrd and Sharman Coley that turned a passion for basketball into an obsession. And those that, I have two that play for me that's here right now, that they probably are either glad Coach Byrd did that to me or not glad they did that to me. I don't know. But anyway, it is an obsession that I still have today. So I can't thank them enough. I can't dare not mention my teammates. I was an undersized point guard with a true point guard mentality. My mentality was you get the ball up the floor as fast as you can, you look for the assist, and then you look to score any way you can if the shot clock is running out. That's Coach Byrd instilled that, and I had such wonderful people to pass the ball to. I had, I wanted to say Coach Brenda Mays, but Brenda Mays, she's here, former inductee. I had LaConja Coran, former Hall of Famer. I had sharpshooter Deborah Benson, and I had so many wonderful players that I could distribute the ball to, and it just, wonderful chemistry. We pushed each other. We held each other accountable. We were there for each other because it was tough. Like I've told many people, even warming up for Coach Byrd was so stressful. You think warm-up, layups, that, okay, that's sort of relaxed. No, the warm-ups were more stressful than anything I had ever experienced before, and that was just the warm-up. So imagine moving on into the practice. I can remember one practice, and Brenda, she'll vouch to this. We would do something called Michigan break as a warm-up. We did it for 2 hours and a half, a warm-up for 2 hours and a half because we couldn't get it right without a water break. Now, this was before, I think now y'all have time limits that you can practice. When we played, there were no time limits. He could keep us as long as he wanted, and he did. So it was, I can't say enough about Coach Byrd and Coach Sharman. They were wonderful. I guess, again, thank you. Just thinking about being inducted, my mind went back to so many wonderful memories, and I loved my time at UNA. It was special, and I've cried a few tears in the past few days. Even last Saturday at a volleyball tournament, me and Brenda got to talking about the past and how things transpired. We did win a conference championship. I know Brenda has this same ring. And so we started talking about that at the volleyball game, and it was fun remembering that kind of stuff. And I do thank you, and thank you to the committee and Roar Lines.
Thank you. Our next inductee holds the unique distinction of becoming the first member of the UNA women's soccer program to be inducted into UNA Hall of Fame. A native of Bristol, England, Holly Loud started every game of her career at UNA from 2008 to 2011, setting a school record with 86 straight starts. A two-time All-Gulf South Conference honoree, she was a four-time team captain for the Lions, the only four-time team captain in school history. She helped lead UNA to its first soccer conference championship in 2011 and to 3 straight NCAA playoff appearances. Her 20 career goals still ranks 12th best in school history, and she added 14 assists. A 2011 academic all-conference honoree, she earned a Bachelor of Science degree from UNA in 2012 and added a master's degree from West Alabama in 2016. While an assistant coach at West Alabama, she worked with both the men's and women's soccer teams and helped the men claim 2 conference championships. She returned to UNA in 2016 as an assistant coach, and the following year the Lions went 13-4-2 and advanced to the NCAA regional tournament. She's helped coach the Lions through the 4-year Division I transition that included reaching the ASUN Conference Championship match in the inaugural season of 2018. UNA also produced the ASUN Conference scoring champion in 2019 in Shelby Wall. Holly has earned an advanced national diploma from the United Soccer Coaches and has completed United Soccer Coaches goalkeeping level 1 and level 2. She's also a graduate of the 2018 NCAA Women's Coaches Academy. Away from the college game, she's helped form the Demopolis Elite Soccer Club and continues to work with several youth soccer associations and camps. Her former coach at UNA, Graham Winkworth, now the head coach at Arizona State University, said Holly was a leader who led by example. She was professional, on and off the field, and could do everything exceptionally well. She was a no-frills player who didn't get the accolades of her teammates, but the way that she played her position helped everyone else succeed. He said those personal characteristics have led her to a wonderful career and will continue to serve her well in the future. Please join me in congratulating UNA Athletic Hall of Fame member Holly Loud.
Hey, y'all. I want to say thanks to Jeff. At times I think that he knows more than I do, especially my favorite hobbies. The first is public speaking. The second is sarcasm. I want to first say happy birthday to my dad and Alice. And then thank you all for coming. It's been an honor, and congratulations to all the other honorees. Some I have quirky little connections with throughout my career. And then to all my family that traveled over from England. I thought my hand might clap on that one. I had to bring my notes. She did threaten me to wear a t-shirt with my face on it, but I told her that was inappropriate. I nearly bought the green board, girls, so I wanted to thank you all for coming, but I just stuck to the papers today. But I do want to say, first off, that I truly appreciate this honor. As the first UNA soccer player to be inducted. For a sport that last year celebrated its 25th anniversary, it's gradually built its way to be a competitive program to equal the other sports in this athletic department. While I'm the first soccer player, I'm certain that I won't be the last. I have played and coached with many future Hall of Famers, I'm sure. Not only have I witnessed this team grow, but the progress of the sport and soccer in this community and country also. To see these days the high schools, the club system, and the recreation programs enjoying growing participation and quality is great. When I first arrived here at 18 years old in 2008, Florence was a little different, and it was certainly rare to see soccer being played or even talked about, unless it was all the internationals, mainly Turkish men, at North Florence, and then one blonde British female. To say this is an uncommon thing is probably false. To go back, when I started playing in Bristol, I was 9 years old, and the population then was about 390,000, thanks to Google. I was the only girl on my local team, and in 2 years, I only experienced 4 other girls playing in a sport that's our national sport. At 11, I was told that due to previous rules, I could not play with the boys' team anymore. So luckily, us 4 girls and a couple of others made the team, and we were pretty good. For me, though, as a child, playing with boys is normal. I grew up playing lots of sports with my dad and brothers, and I still do. It taught me how to toughly compete, think tactically, and ultimately it's led to many adventures and fun memories. I have had great support from all my family. My mother, aunts, and grandmother came to many of my matches and are all individually resilient and inspiring in their own way. This year has had many moments for females that should be worth mentioning. This summer, England hosted the Women's European Football Championship, or soccer. I was lucky enough to have tickets, take my mum, aunt, and uncle, and we watched them beat Germany. Really, that was a day that came full circle for me, for the growth of the sport in England and elsewhere, and then to celebrate with 87,000 other people and a couple more Germans. We set a game record attendance for both the men's and women's in the European Championship. Other moments, Her late Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, celebrated her 70th Jubilee year as monarch, and sadly recently passed away, which brought somber, respectful moments of remembrance and thanks from many people across Britain and afar. Here at UNA, it is the Year of the Woman, where we've also taken time to celebrate great female role models and their contribution to this university. It's been 50 years since Title IX, a law that's had decisive impacts on women everywhere. I tried to find this fact, but I couldn't get the exact percentage, but someone once told me that a lot of the top US CEOs actually played collegiate sports, and I think that goes to show the impact that sports has on people's lives, involving pressure moments, critical thinking, competitive determination, and most importantly, confidence. I say this all not to create versus moments, but to recognize the influence we all have on boys and girls. I certainly not would be here if multiple men had told me no and did not give me an opportunity to be where I am today. Alan and Shep, who at 9 years old allowed me to join that boys' team whilst my brother played on the opposite field. Mr. Land, to select me as the first ever girl to be on the school football team. Graham Winkworth, for recruiting and inviting me to play at UNA, giving me the captaincy for 4 years, and creating a determined, talented team in which every year we reach new milestones, such as the NCAA tournament, the first NCAA win in that tournament, all the way to winning our first Gulf South Conference championship in the sport of soccer. To Graham Moore, who was here as my assistant coach at UNA and then hired me as my full-time assistant role at West Alabama. He supported me through multiple visas and taught me integral parts of coaching and career attributes. To the local Shoals coaches, such as Jamie Stoddard, for inviting me to coach and shout louder by removing my troublesome wisdom teeth. And to Chris Walker for allowing me to return here as assistant coach in my current role and work, laugh, grow as a person, and add to my professional development. A lot of people ask me if I'm going to stay in the USA, and to be honest, I didn't think I was going to stay in the state of Alabama for 14 years. But when they ask me why UNA, it's a simple question. I think Riley hit on it as well. It doesn't matter whether you're from Florence or Bristol, England, it's the community feel here in Florence. And whether it be at work, in the athletic department, coaching on the field, it's an area that there is a community sense. As a single, foreign female, this place has allowed and supported me to buy a house before I turned 30 years old. I did get this idea from my cousin Cara, who actually ran, swam, and biked a marathon, but I didn't see the point in that. Buying, decorating, and keeping up with a house has certainly been a learning process, and I've learned to ask for help, and this community has certainly delivered and not let me down. After the surprise when I found out about my induction, I've told many people that the worst part is that people know how old I am. But the best is now being a continuous part of an athletic department and university with great traditions, but also the confidence to progress, adapt, and succeed through change. So again, I want to thank everyone for their support, my friends, family, players here in UNA. And then lastly, if my UNA education has not taught me anything, it's how to pronounce Rollins.
Thank you, Holly. Our final inductee was a 3-year starting place kicker on UNA championship football teams from 1993 to 1995. A Florence native, he spent his freshman season at the University of Arkansas before transferring to UNA. In his 3 years with the Lions, UNA went 41-1, winning 3 straight conference championships and 3 straight NCAA Division II national championships. That group became the first collegiate football team in the history of college football to win as many as 4 games in just 3 seasons. UNA also became the first team in the history of NCAA scholarship football to win 3 straight national championships. A 3-time all-conference honoree, he was the team's leading scorer in 1994 and 1995 and set school records for extra points made and attempted in a season and most points scored by a kicker in a season with 98. One of his most memorable kicks came in the form of a game-winning field goal in overtime to defeat Valdosta State in the playoffs in 1994. He was named to UNA's 50th anniversary football team in 1988 and UNA's Team of the Decade for 1989 to 1998. His career numbers are 166 extra points made, 30 of 47 field goals made, and 256 total points. He left UNA after his junior season after being accepted early to the University of Tennessee Memphis Dental School, where he graduated. For the last 18 years, he's been a dentist at the Cox Creek Family Dentistry here in Florence. Today, he becomes the 16th player from the football national championship run to achieve Hall of Fame status. And he's the 10th player who started on all 3 national championship teams to be inducted. And just to stroll down memory lane, those include Michael Edwards, Cody Gross, Jarius Hayes, Keith Humphrey, Ronald McKinnon, Israel Rabin, Gerald Smith, John Thompson, and Michael Williams. Today, we're adding another name to that list. Please welcome for induction into the UNA Athletic Hall of Fame, Jamie Stoddard.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank all of you involved in my induction in the Hall of Fame, the committee, and everybody behind the scenes to put this together. Especially like to thank Jeff for all you do for the student athletes and have done for many years for athletics. I'd like to congratulate my fellow inductees. I've enjoyed reading a little bit about each of you, your accomplishments at UNA and after. Been enjoyable. You know, excuse me, coming to UNA, before I got here, the previous school, I had 3 coaches in 1 semester, head coaches. And UNA, football wasn't fun. I had different plans. When I came here, I wanted to get my education and go to dental school and move on. But when I got here, I met a few football players and got to talking and decided to come out. And it didn't take long for me to see that it was different. Coach Wallace, I think the first day made an impression on me, just seeing what he did and hands-on. He was very approachable, which was different. And a few things as I've aged, and even at the time I recognized Coach Wallace. A few of the things that made him a great coach, he surrounded himself with great assistant coaches, and they were great people, not just great coaches. Coach Slater, Coach Hyde, never heard them say a bad word about anybody or to anybody, and they probably still haven't, never did. They were great examples for young men and assistant coaches, graduate assistants, to live your life. Coach Wallace always repeatedly taught us that work hard, do what you're supposed to do, and be a good person, and it'll work out, and it does. He had another good thing that he saw. We were a team, and you were a part of a team, but he saw you as an individual. He knew how to motivate people and find out how to motivate them, and they were different ways to go about that. Another thing, he knew that you were an individual and you had things going on in your life outside of football. And I know a couple of times when I was here, I had things that were going on that were very stressful, and Coach Wallace pulled me aside and said, hey, go deal with that. You know, forget football, go get that done. And I was very appreciative of that. I'd like to finish by thanking all of you for being here this morning, taking time out of your day, and being a part of making this weekend special. And with that, thanks again, and roar Lions.
If you were around during those national championship years and had the pleasure of following the team, you undoubtedly at some point heard the voice of Bill Hunt. And Bill, it's a pleasure having you here, Dave. If you just wave to everybody, who's our color commentator, and he's here obviously in support of Jamie, but great having you here. Also, the uniqueness that Dr. Looney mentioned of this class being all from the Shoals, but in the process and mailing stuff out and gathering information, found out that Jamie and Freddie actually live on the same street in Muscle Shoals, so it is a small world after all. But the parade will follow at 11:30 today. They'll begin lining up at 10:30, so it'll be out here on Pine Street. The lineup's right behind us here. It'll start at the corner by Norton Auditorium, go down and turn on Tennessee Street, and then come back. So if you want to follow that. We have plaques for you, obviously, and we will have the video is being recorded, and we'll have posted on Royal Lions this afternoon. We'll also have photos that we'll send to all of you. So before we adjourn, we'd just like to ask one final time if you'd please give a hand for the UNA Hall of Fame class of 2022.